What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. Last week, we uh, kind of messed around with the inspector window so that uh, we are prepared for saving assets or saving changes to assets from within the editor. Now, this week, we need to work on cameras. Now, cameras are going to be a little tricky, and I say cameras because, yes, more than one. I know anywhere else you look, they only use one camera. I don't know why. Yeah. But most tutorial series, mostly when somebody talks about something, they're talking about one camera. Well, a game doesn't need one camera. Most of the time, you're using multiple cameras, even in two-dimensional games. It's okay to use multiple cameras. For instance, uh, like you have a scrolling background. Say you're, I don't know, walking around on your platform level and you see mountains scrolling in the background. Well, you have multiple ways you can do that, and that is by offsetting the texture's position from within the shader to actually scroll it. Or you can actually build something in the background um, inside of your map, put it on a layer, have a camera render that certain layer, and then just move that camera slower than what you're moving the camera that is rendering your player in your level. And that is normally the easiest way to do it. Uh, that way you're not looking at the same thing. So when you're looking in the background, you're not seeing, the same mountain with the same tree scrolling in the background. It looks very cheaply made. Yeah. So it's always better to make it look different in the background so that it doesn't look so cheap. And there's tons of other things, especially in 3D, because cameras are used to draw reflections and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know why they don't talk about this. But yes, we will be adding multiple cameras. Now, today we're just setting up for multiple cameras, and we're going to be using one camera for the moment. Uh, that's just because we're going to have to add a few tweaks in order to get multiple cameras to run, because right now we do not have any kind of layering system. We don't have anything like that set up. So we're going to get all set up with multiple cameras, and then we're just going to basically just use one, or the I don't know if we're going to use just the first one, or because the editor camera is going to be separate from this. Because an editor camera, all we have to do is know the exact position of the camera. That's it. We don't need any other stuff. Because right now we cannot move any kind of camera in here, so it's stationary. So let's see if we can get this working first try. So I have this pulled up right here because we're going to start needing to input our position. Ooh, we're going to have to I think I'm using default shader and not default game shader for rendering the scene currently, but I don't know. We'll figure that out. I'll take a look at it. So in engine, let's right click and create a new class. And it's just going to be simply called camera. So hopefully my brain is up for this today. We'll see how this goes. Now, just like anything else, we need the ability to attach a camera to a scene game object. So what we're going to be doing is just like we do with test. In order for any of the methods to be called, the pre-built methods, we have to use logic behavior, and that way it's passed in and actually called. So in here, extends logic behavior. And then we have our pre-built methods, and we're able to attach them to scene game objects. So in here, I also need, let's do private. Private list of camera. Let's do cameras equals new array list of camera. Go ahead and import these. Now, whenever a camera is created, we need to pass it into this camera's method. So right here, we need to say public camera and cameras dot add this. And then we need a way to get the list of cameras. So public, this needs to be static, private static. And then public static list of camera. Just say cameras. Public static final, because we do not want to be able to change that. And then we're going to just simply return cameras. And then inside of camera, we're also going to have several methods. Like each camera is going to have its own, eventually, not right now, but it will have its own like matrix. So we're not going to be, we're eventually, sometime long in the distant future, not going to have matrix or the view matrix inside or projection matrix, sorry. The projection matrix will not be stored in the renderer. It will eventually be stored in camera. That way, whenever the 2D game engine is done, so this is long at the end, we will turn this 2D game engine into a 3D game engine. So that is after all of the 2D is done. But so eventually we'll need its own projection matrix because we're not going to be using the same projection, but it'll allow you to switch from orthographic camera to whatever. And yeah, so there's going to be a ton of other things in here, but for how we have it right now, it's perfectly fine. And then whenever we get to 3D camera or 3D 3D game engine and the 2D engine, because it'll be both combined, then we'll add all this stuff. But I think as for 2D, we will really never have to add anything else. Oh, we will get to. We will eventually get to shaders, so we can just go ahead and add that. So public shader. And what the shader's gonna do in the future is whenever the whole scene is rendered for this specific camera, and then whenever it draws it onto the screen, it's going to use this specific shader to draw it onto the screen. So you can do post-processing for specific layers in the scene. So that'll be very nice. Because that will work in our pipeline, so that'll do awesome. So let me think here. Is there anything else I need to add in here? Because the camera, since it's attached to a game object in the scene, we already have the transformation information. Okay, yes, I think that is it. All right. So, anytime a shader is or every time a camera is created, it's passed into this list. So now we need to erase this list of cameras if whenever a new scene is created or loaded, like at the end of the current scene, it needs to remove all the cameras. It needs to clear it out so that we can start, whenever we load the next level, add in the cameras. So, let's see. Asset database, application, scene manager. So we will have to add a new method. For now, I'm just gonna add public static clear. So this is gonna clear all the cameras. Now, we will adjust this method in the future and make it only accessible from the engine, but I don't know if we're going to add to this method or change it or whatever. So right now it doesn't. That level doesn't need to be there. So let's do clear, and it's just going to call cameras.clear. Oh, public static void. My brain, of course, is not working. It's the freaking weekend. Alright, so back to scene manager. Whenever we load a new scene, we need to call oh, wait. else? Set variable. We'll try. We'll do try. GameObject.clear. Now we'll set it right here. So GameObject.clear, and then we'll call camera.clear. There. So anytime it's a new scene is loaded, right before it loads, it clears all the camera information, and then whatever cameras is in the scene file, it will load them all up. Alright, so that should be about it. Now what we need to do here in the editor is actually have a camera position. So let's call playing, do a private static vector2 You know what? I don't even care if this is private because it's the editor. So right up here. Private. No. I want to make it public. Public static vector2 position equals new vector2. Right? Did I add that? No. You have to do that. Real quick, let's go into here and change that because that's really annoying. Math vector2. Let's make a default. So here we could just say public vector2 x equals 0, y equals 0. There. So then in the future we don't have to do this. And we don't have to do this right now. We can just call new vector2. Okay, so now we have a position. And the shader. Where is it when I actually render it? GUI.prepare. And that's where we render the hierarchy, inspector, asset, types, assets, GUI.unbind. M.render. What is M? Oh, menu bar. Play. Should play. Else playing equals 0. Alright, give me just a second and let me see where I put this rendering code for the editor. Okay, I found it. Apparently I put it in here in the core script. Time.frame rate. I'm actually gonna put some stuff right here too. So if editor.isPlaying, so this is whenever the editor is playing. This is when the editor is not. So whenever the editor it's not playing. We need to pass in a specific camera. So let's go render.render. Kind of figuring this up in my head. Render, here's the rectangle it needs to render in. Rectangle R. It's going to take in a vector 2. Position. I may change this later, but for now it'll work. It'll work just fine. So this is going to be our, let's change it to camera position. So we're going to pass, whenever we call render, we're just going to pass in the rectangle where we're rendering it, like usual. Like if we're rendering it right here, it needs to be rendered right here. And then the camera position offset, so. FBO.bind material.shader.set uniform. There's the projection. Material color. Where is it that I bind its actual position at? Or is that just game object.bind? I don't remember where I set that at. Give me just a moment. Maybe, if this thing will pop up. Okay, I found it. I don't know what I was thinking. It was under sprite render, because we actually bind it there. I was thinking maybe, oh, we could just go ahead and get rid of, we could go ahead and get rid of the camera variable for the shader, so we don't have to create a camera variable and the shader camera position variable. But then it would kind of throw everything off in the shader whenever we're doing calculations, because it would be added to the camera position. So yeah, we're just gonna scrap that idea and instead just do what we were planning on doing and just add the camera position and just add a variable here. So projection right there, and with the projection we need to pass in a camera position variable. Oh no, it's under material. Here we need to bind it. So actually right here, sorry, I'm all screwed up. Material.shader.set uniform. We're going to call the uniform hold on. Okay, it is lowercase, so cam pos. And we're going to pass in camera position. Okay. So here we're going to have an issue. because we don't have any. We're going to have to do some camera checks later on. So let's throw this down a little. And let's throw this down a little too. That way we can add some comments in there telling us, hey, we need to change this in the future. So for here, let's do editor dot. Did I just call it editor dot position? I didn't, did I? Because that would be stupid. Yes, I did. I just called it position. Camera position. There we go. So it's editor dot camera position. There we go. And then here we're going to pass in editor dot camera position, the same camera. Okay. So right here we need to add a comment. Actually, you know what? We might not have to. Let's say null. So let's pass in null right there. And then in renderer, say if campos does not equal null. Wait, camera position, not campos. That's what I wanted to name the variable inside the shader. So if the camera position does not equal null, then we're going to say material dot shader dot set uniform blah blah blah. And then later we're gonna change this method, how we do it, because right now it's not camera based. Right now it just renders anything and everything that is set to this material batch. So how we're gonna do this is whenever we start doing the multiple cameras for like actually using the multiple cameras, we're going to have these batches, these material batches for each of these cameras based on the layer that we have set for the game object itself, what it's set to, and what the camera is set to actually render, because each camera will be able to render multiple layers if it wanted to. So let's say you have a camera that only wants to render the background because you're going to have it scroll, but one of your cameras is going to render you're going to want it to render like water or static or grass or whatever it is. Like, you want it to render all of those, but you do not want it to render the background. So, so we're going to have to batch that in each of these cameras. So that's why we're going to do that on a completely different episode whenever we're doing layers. So there's a whole separate thing of this that we're going to have to do prior to actually using the multiple cameras in game. But for now, we have it all set up for it. All we have to do is add the layering system, and then we can get into all this batching. But for now, we could just go ahead and move this editor camera around so that we can actually look to see where our world is. Okay. So for now, it's just going to pass in if camera position, then we're just going to do that. That means for now we don't have to worry about the game one itself. Actually, let's just go ahead and add this anyways. So if there's no camera position, we'll say erase this later. I'll put it underneath it. Else material dot shader dot set uniform canvas. Yeah, camera position. We'll just set it like that for now. Oh wait, no, camera position is null. Duh. New vector 2 0 0. So that way, for the game for now, since we don't have any cameras set up and multi-layering and all that baloney, it'll always be 0 0. But for now, we'll be able to move this camera position, move the editor camera position around. It'll actually show it. So let's go ahead and run this, make sure we didn't break anything. All right, looks good. In game, okay. We're also going to later on, you know, I always keep on talking about later on, but later on down the road, this multiple cameras will also be good for like split screen. So we will be covering that later in the future as well, because I'm a big split screen player. I play with my kids. So you could go like a side-by-side split screen, or above and below, or 4-player split screen, all that other stuff. So yeah, we'll cover that as well. So now that works, we need to pass in what are we using to render the editor, or render that. So we're using GUI.prepare. What is GUI? We need to check to see what shader we're using. We're just using default shader. Okay, I don't think that's going to change anything anyway, so that's good. Let's find resources. Shaders, default shader. Okay, and here we need vec2s are down there. Uniform vec2 cam pos is what we named it. Let's do projection times vec4 right here. Gonna go that minus cam minus vec4 cam pos 0, 1. Wait, we're minusing that, so it'd be 0. Okay, that should work. But whenever we prepare it, see here, gy.prepare. Cam pos 0, 0. Hopefully this doesn't screw everything up. Let's go into editor. We need the ability to move this around. Init configuration. Init is playing, play, render. We can do it in the render method, why not? Let's say cam pos dot x plus equals input dot wait completely screwed that up. If no. Yeah, why not? If input dot get key down. This is just for show for a second. Do I not have that method down either? Oh. I forgot we're doing characters, not. Here we go. Input dot get key down W. Then I want to say camera position plus equals 10 times time dot delta. No, time dot unscale delta. Unscale delta. Do I not have what did I name it then? Camera position. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Dot Y. Alright, so let's move this camera. And let's hope to God that it doesn't just screw with the whole UI. W. Oh, because I did down. Let's remove that. it's not doing anything. Why? Fine, let's not do that by there. It'll just move by 10 units. Nothing? What in the world? Is it capital then? Shouldn't be capital. Alright, give me just a moment, guys. Okay, I got it. The issue is not with that code, or not with any of our code, but with this right here. So we're actually rendering it using the default game shader instead of the default shader. I thought we were using the default shader whenever we're not in play mode, and then default game shader when we are in play mode. That was my bad. But apparently we're using default game shader. So all you have to do is just put a bracket here, do world position minus cam pass, bracket right here, and then it'll be good to go. So let's go back up here. I use that for debugging. And times time dot unscaled delta. So now if we run it, it will, if we hold W for up, we actually, the camera's going up, so everything is moving down. Let's do 30, copy, paste, S, and then else if. So if we hit that, then we move the camera down and everything goes up. And this is just temporary. We'll actually be using the middle mouse button to move it around. So if we click here and then we drag, it will drag it around to wherever we drag to. This is just for testing purposes. So hit S, camera goes down, so everything moves up. Hit W, everything goes down as the camera's going up. Awesome. So if I move, let's move this way out of sight. It should be way down there. If I hit play, okay, it moves it straight back, because we're not using the editor camera anymore. We're setting the camera to 0 whenever we're in play mode. If we hit that, it goes down. Awesome. Move the camera down, move it back up, and there it is. So yeah, that works out awesome. 44 minutes. Let's yeah, you know what? Let's just let's leave it at that. And next episode we will get this layering system down, so that way we can tag things with certain layers and render it however we want with whatever camera that we want. And possibly we'll also remove this WS pattern and actually use a middle mouse button click and drag to move the camera around. So yeah, that'll be really nice, especially for adding things into the scene. Because eventually we're going to be just dragging things into the scene. Hold on just a second. M.render, render.render. Right here in the render class, right below it, let's say for now we'll say GUI dot label and no, not scene, it's editor dot camera position dot do we not have, we'll add a toString method as well. Apparently we don't have one. Let's just render this for now at 0, 0. Let's do, where's vector 2? Right down here, let's do a toString method. Public string toString. And we're going to return that plus x plus that plus y plus bracket. There we go. Now I have a toString method. Oh, if I close it off. There we go. So now, where did I put that at? Editor? No. Camera, sprite render, render. Okay, it's in render. So camera position will also tell us whether we're in the editor or not. So let's say if camera position does not equal null, then we're going to want to draw the camera position for the editor. Oh, why is it way over there? R.X R.Y. There, now it should render inside that little window. But you can't hardly even see it. Let's change the color of that. GUI. Wait. What the hell? Get off there. Color temp equals GUI dot text color. GUI dot text color equals color dot black. And then GUI dot text color equals 10. There we go. So storing the color or the current text color of the GUI, and then setting it to black, and then setting it back, so that if we have a different text color set into the GUI, it's not going to change anything. It'll just change it for this and then change it back to how it was. All right, there we go. So now we can move it up, we can move it down, and it will tell us exactly where the thing is. This is wrong though. This is screen position. Oh wait, no. No, it's not, because the center of the screen is 0, because that's what we're looking at. Okay, yeah, that is the right position. All right, so then this will tell us the position that the camera is currently in. So yeah, that gives us a lot of useful information. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and next week we will pound out this layering system and possibly get this this scroll wheel down editor camera movement. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one.